Did you guys ever think this would happen 28 years later, a real world Los Angeles reunion?
I thought it was going to happen at year 20 or year 50. Year 28 was real, kind of an odd time to do it. I was expecting a homecoming of sorts, but not like year 28 is not your big homecoming year.
Right.
I mean, look, for me, I was always hoping that we would have a reunion because we just have so much unfinished business. So I've always been hoping in the back of my mind that we could have a reunion.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it.
What would the 1993 versions of yourselves think of the way this reunion is playing out so far?
Oh gosh. I mean,
the 1993 version of us would run, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to watch. It's definitely hard for me to watch. Everybody has a different perspective. I'm a little disappointed that some people can't understand that everybody has their own feelings and emotions and is processing things in different ways and at different times. So yeah, it's a little, watching it is super difficult for me to see.
Yeah. Do you think that 28 years later, with some more age and some more wisdom, did that make this experience easier for you guys?
Go ahead, Ben. I think so. I mean, quick answer, yes. I mean, if we haven't grown some perspective and some maturity and how to handle adversity by age 50, then we're in some big trouble. And especially in today's culture of every crazy thing that's happening in the world, if you haven't learned to tolerate people that are different than you by now, you're not going to do well in life, much less a reality show. So, I mean, I kind of walked in there with the intention of listening and not necessarily always speaking my very first thought, which is something I did do in 1993. And when I didn't do it on our homecoming, everybody said, "Jon, you're quiet." I'm like, "Well, you haven't seen me in 28 years, and now I'm soaking in what you're saying before I respond, because I want to respond lovingly, because if I don't, you're gonna bite my head off."
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think that we're all older, and I hope that we've grown in the past almost 29 years. So I think that, our communicating is a little better, but we still have, we all have trauma from being on the show, right? I mean, there are definitely positive things to take away, but we are all hurting in different ways from that show.
Yeah.
And when you're put back into the house, it's like, I mean, I almost felt like, I'm just right back in 1993.
Yeah.
And all those feelings and emotions just came back.
The first two episodes are very much focused on the infamous blanket drag. What was it like reliving that moment? And did you expect for it to be rehashed so soon?
It was not funny.
Are you serious?
There are a lot of parts that honestly, they could not have shown all of it. It was edited. Not every aspect of what happened was shown. And it was, it was crazy. Now, I do feel like on episode 2 that they did a very great job of showing that it wasn't just the blanket thing. And Beth had a lot of points. Look, he was aggressive towards Jon, tried to fight me. Aaron had to hold him back. They showed the clip. He said abusive things to me verbally. They showed the clip. He actually dropped his britches down to the floor and walked towards us with his genitals exposed. They showed the clip. So they did a great job in episode 2 of The Homecoming, showing all of that. And I was really glad that they did, because I think that was a huge part of why the girls said, we don't feel safe. And it's not being said a lot. I think it needs to be said so everybody understands. You can't drop your trousers and expose yourself and walk towards 3 women's bedroom. That's a sexual assault in itself. So forget the blanket. That is inappropriate. And if that happened on any reality show today, he would be removed. If that happened in any workplace today, he'd be arrested and charged. So, I mean, yes, it was blown out of proportion, but also no, it wasn't.
Beth, as one of the women who experienced that incident, had it been something that you thought about a lot over the past 28 years, or did you kind of suppress it? Like, what was your relationship with that moment over the years?
I mean, look, it was upsetting to me, and there's a lot of things about 93 that was upsetting to me. And, you know, going back and talking to David about the situation and just, you know, it was, I, I mean, I just feel horrible about how hurt David is. At the same time, I just don't think that he should be blaming other people for his actions. I'm not responsible for his actions. I didn't make him choke John on the third day of living together and flip him over the chair. Okay. I didn't make him do that. I didn't make him, verbally abuse me. I didn't make him pull down his pants and swing his penis around. I didn't make him do that. He did that. He chose to do that, not me. So I'm not going to take responsibility for that. And I shouldn't take responsibility for that. And neither should Irene, neither should anybody in the house. David did those things. He didn't understand people's boundaries. I wish the best for David. I have nothing against David. I feel for David. Irene said, I don't know what the exact quote was, like, I'll call the police and scream rape. And then David said something to me like, you wanted it too, you were laughing. And I used it as an analogy. I said, that's something a rapist would say. No means no. That's what I said. I never said, David, you are a rapist. I never said that. I used it as an analogy. If I could take it back today, would I? Sure, I would take it back.
Well, it was a really nuanced situation because David felt like he needed an apology, but Tami also felt like she needed a different type of apology. I think you guys did a really great job of, hashing it out as best you could and trying to take care of both individuals' feelings. Did it feel liberating to discuss it together and finally get to a place where you all felt relatively at peace?
Tami went up into her bedroom, back onto the balcony, and started smoking. I followed her and I walked out there, no camera crew. I opened the sliding glass door. I said, there's no cameras behind me. I'm checking on you. Are you okay? And she looked at me, still crying, and says, nobody gives a you know what about me. No one cares about my feelings. I said, excuse me, I'm here. I'm standing here on your balcony. I followed you up 3 flights of steps. I care. I love you. I wrapped my arms around her and hug her. And then she goes up on the roof. They didn't show that.
In 1993, I jumped on top of you to cover you up while everybody else, all the other roommates, just stood around and watched. I was helping her. Obviously, I care. So for her to come at me and yell at me like that, I did not think was fair. And I didn't think that I deserved that at all. Just because I was talking to David, I was in the middle of a discussion with David. And if I want to go and talk to David and talk to him, I can do that.
Being on a reality show is hard. It was hard in 1993. People ask me, how was it? Did you love it? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I loved it. It helped shape me and mold me. It was a valuable experience, but it was stressful. That's the word I use. Back in 1993, as an 18-year-old on a reality show, it was very stressful. And this homecoming was very stressful. It's hard to be on a reality show because it's really 2 separate experiences. I really feel strongly about this. Like the experience itself, the homecoming, the 2 weeks back in the house was an experience. It was hard to do again.
How was the experience different in 1993 versus now?
We had a lot to cover in the couple weeks that we were together. So we were going through a lot of emotions and feelings quickly. And then right when I was like feeling comfortable and settled, it was over. Yeah. It was over. And I was like, oh, wow. So I just feel like, this is constantly evolving here. Like we could do this again and still, I mean, I don't know. We still have so much to talk about, I feel like.
I think that
we did get through a lot of things.
And the beautiful thing about the homecoming was after the 2 whole episodes and hours of sitting there rehashing that horrible incident, there were hugs. I mean, there were hugs and forgiveness. And like right now, I love Tami. I would love to, I'm probably going to text her to say, hey, I know these 2 episodes have aired. Reminder, I love you. Hey, David. Hey, I love you. I mean, what we went through was hard. I don't feel like you were right about everything. I don't feel like anybody was right about all of it, but it was still 30 years ago or 3 months ago. And let's just make sure that we all know we still love each other as human beings.